got something really beautiful to share with you today. Here on Phoenix Fortis, we talk a lot about resilience, about rising from the ashes after life has tried to break us. But that rise doesn't always begin with a roar. Sometimes it begins with a whisper, a flicker, a single moment that quietly asks, "What if?" Today's story is one of those moments. It comes to us in the form of a letter written by a listener named Rachel. Her words speak of pain, yes, but also of perseverance, transformation, and an unexpected new purpose born from unimaginable loss. Let's listen. Dear Diane, I've been listening to Phoenix Fortis for a while now, and your show has really, well, it's helped me feel less alone. I wanted to share my story, or at least the beginning of it, because maybe it'll help someone else out there too. My name's Rachel, and I'm a veteran. It was Iraq, 2008. One moment, I was just a kid doing my job, patrolling with my unit. The next, blinding light, deafening noise, and then this eerie, crushing silence. An IED. When I woke up, it was in a hospital bed thousands of miles away from everything I knew, and my legs, they were gone. Just like that. The doctors were incredible, but I didn't feel real. It was like I was watching a stranger from above. I remember lying there for hours, staring at the ceiling, wondering how a life could be ripped apart in seconds. The physical pain was intense, sure, but the emotional pain, that was something else. It felt like I was sealed in a glass box. People could see me, talk to me, but I couldn't connect. I'd lost not just my legs, but my identity, my independence, my future. The recovery was long, grueling, and honestly a blur of physical therapy and a lot of tears I tried to hide. I felt like a burden. Some days I didn't even want to wake up. It didn't feel like living, just surviving. Then, one afternoon, I was just lying there, really, staring at the television, not even truly watching, just letting the noise fill the silence. And then I stopped on a channel. It was a sports event, but it wasn't just any game. It was a Paralympic track and field competition. And I saw them, athletes, some with prosthetics, some missing limbs, just like me. And they weren't just moving, they were flying, running, jumping, competing with a power and grace I couldn't comprehend. My breath caught in my throat. I'd never seen anything like it. For so long, my world had shrunk to the four walls of my hospital room, then my rehab room. My identity had become disabled veteran. But watching these incredible people, my mind just opened. It wasn't about what they'd lost. It was about what they were doing, what they were achieving. It was raw, powerful, and utterly inspiring. I hadn't felt anything in months, but in that moment, something stirred. A spark. The tiniest flicker of curiosity. What if? What if that could be me? It was terrifying, honestly, because it meant daring to hope again after I'd sworn off hope. It meant facing the long, hard road, but this time, maybe with a destination in mind. It was the first crack in that glass box I'd built around myself. I saw possibility, not just pain. And that small glimmer, that unexpected image on a random afternoon, changed everything. That tiny spark, it gnawed at me. For days, maybe weeks, I couldn't shake those images. Finally, I worked up the courage to ask my physical therapist about adaptive sports. She was incredible, connecting me with a program that introduced wounded veterans to various sports. And that's how it began, with swimming, oddly enough, just to build some strength, then eventually track and field. Oh, Diane, it was brutal at first. Learning to run again on prosthetics, it felt like trying to walk on stilts that had a mind of their own. Every fall, every blister, every time my stump ached, a part of me wanted to quit. The physical pain was one thing, but the mental battle was even harder. There were days I'd just collapse in tears, convinced I was deluding myself, that I was broken beyond repair. But then I'd remember those athletes on TV, and I'd hear a tiny whisper in my mind, just one more step, Rachel. Just one more try. I found coaches who believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. They pushed me harder than anyone ever had, not out of cruelty, but because they saw potential. They helped me see my prosthetics not as limitations, but as tools, extensions of a new kind of strength. Over time, I started to improve. The falls became fewer, the strides more confident. I learned to listen to my body in a whole new way, understanding its new rhythm. Training became my meditation, my sanctuary. It was where I felt most alive, most powerful. It wasn't about being normal again. It was about becoming something entirely new, something stronger. Every bead of sweat, every ache, every small triumph on the track, it was all part of rebuilding myself, piece by piece. I wasn't just training for a race, I was training for my life. And then something else started to shift. All that focus on my own healing, on my own races, it wasn't enough anymore. I found myself looking around at other veterans, especially new amputees, the ones who were just starting their own difficult journeys. I saw that same lost look in their eyes that I'd had in mine, that same despair. And I knew deep down that I had to do something. So, after a few years of competing, even reaching the Paralympic trials a couple of times, I started volunteering. Just a little at first, at a rehab center, sharing my story, showing them how I managed simple things, then talking about adaptive sports. It wasn't formal at all, just connecting, sharing the little tricks I'd learned, the mindset shifts that had saved me. It quickly grew into something more. Now, I run a program that connects newly injured veterans with mentors who are also adaptive athletes. We help them find their sport, yes, but more importantly, we help them find their footing again. We show them that their lives aren't over, that in fact, a whole new kind of strength is waiting to be discovered. When I see one of my vets, as I call them, cross a finish line or even just smile for the first time in months, it's a feeling that completely dwarfs any medal I ever could have won. It's purpose, real, tangible purpose. My journey started with an explosion, with loss, and with what felt like an endless void. But it led me here, to a place where I can truly help others rise, just as I did. It's like the circle of resilience is complete, and now I get to be a part of someone else's Phoenix Fortis story. Thank you, Diane, for giving me a space to share it. Rachel, thank you. Truly, thank you for sharing your incredible story with us today. Your words truly paint a vivid picture of not just what you've endured, but what you've built from the ashes of unimaginable trauma. The courage it takes to not only face such a devastating loss, but to then turn that experience into a beacon of hope for others, it's just profoundly moving. Your journey from despair to finding purpose on the track and then extending that purpose to lift up other wounded veterans is the very essence of what we talk about here on Phoenix Fortis. It's a powerful reminder that even in our darkest moments, there's often a flicker, a tiny spark of possibility that can ignite an entirely new path. And that path, sometimes, can lead to a deeper, more meaningful connection with ourselves and with the world around us. To all of you listening, remember Rachel's strength. Remember that resilience isn't just about bouncing back. It's about finding a new way forward, sometimes even building something more profound than what was lost. We are all capable of healing, of rediscovering purpose, and of rising stronger. This is Phoenix Fortis. Thank you for being with us today, and until next time, keep rising.